Hello, and welcome to Lead, Learn, and Connect, where we explore the worlds of training and coaching. I'm your host, Alan Krieger, and on our show we explore not just the how of helping others grow, but the behind-the-scenes work of building a successful business, overcoming challenges, and staying connected to what's really important. My guest today is Rosanne Essiambre, a dynamic coach and trainer with some interesting coaching areas of focus. Rosanne is the founder of Sustainable Solutions Coaching and Consulting, a company that's helped people through some challenging times and build essential skills for their success. Whether you're a new coach, a seasoned facilitator, or just curious about what it takes to thrive in this space, this episode is for you. Let's get started. Welcome, Rosanne.
Thank you, Alan, for having me.
Pleasure to have you. And let's just jump right in with a question about the challenges we face in this business. So, what was one of your biggest challenges and how did you address it?
Yeah. So, one of my biggest growth opportunities was one of the steps before coaching. So, the putting yourself out there and being seen publicly. Given the upbringing I had, it was safer to blend in than it was to be seen, as being seen usually meant some unpleasant behavior was going to be aimed my way. So I addressed this growth opportunity the same way I would with a client. I coached myself through the root causes of the fear, shifted the inner block, and launched the business.
Okay, and it's been a successful launch. How long have you been coaching?
Yeah, so I've been doing it formally through the business for 5 years and then informally through my internal roles, another 5 years before that.
Okay. All right. So apparently your coaching strategy works. And tell us a little bit more about that. Your approach to coaching people through their challenges.
Yeah, so I'm all about root cause.
I hear that.
Whether I'm internal doing some change management work or external consulting in that, or if I'm working with an individual client, right? If we address root cause, we can actually get to the bottom of what's going on and sustainably shift it. So that's my high level focus. And then I tend to use something called core energy coaching, which is the training I went through. And it uses the energy leadership framework, which is a very powerful 7-level mindset framework. And it helps the person understand if you're in this particular mindset, this is how you're going to end up feeling, and this is how you're going to end up showing up in the world and behaving. So it's an incredible self awareness tool and very powerful for those who learn it. It's a game changer.
Okay. And the root cause comes from conversation, asking them questions. How do you get to
Yeah.
someone's root cause?
Well, so first it's asking permission,
Okay.
right? Do you want to focus on root cause or do you want to address symptoms of this? So that's the first thing. And then second, yes, it's through the powerful questioning, the thought-provoking questions to help them get to that root cause and bring it to the surface.
Mhm. Okay. And that can sometimes be a upsetting experience for people when they find out what's down below everything.
Um, Occasionally, most times, they know something's there because this is something they've been struggling with for a long period of time, typically.
Okay.
So usually they're excited to get down to the root cause because now they can do something about it.
Okay, and what do you think is the secret to helping people change? So
Yeah.
the first step is understanding what needs to change, but how do you approach coaching and helping people change?
Yeah. So I think it's excellent listening and emotional intelligence skills. There are levels of listening out there, and most people are at the base level. So, as coaches, being at the higher levels of listening is very impactful and powerful for clients. Second, a deep desire to truly help the client. You stick to the client's agenda for the session instead of yours, right? That's a trap a lot of new coaches fall into is, "Ooh, I really want to ask this question." Well, that's great, but is that where the client wants to go in the session? Next, you're able to be fully present with them and keep the focus on them, right? Not shifting it back to yourself or what worked for you. That asking powerful, thought-provoking questions that we were just talking about. And I already mentioned, right? Ask the client's permission before asking about something the client's sensitive about, because this is about what's going to work for them and where they want to go. And then, as I said, if the client allows, coaching the root cause so they can actually achieve a sustainable solution.
Okay. Um, and how long is the process of working with a client? I know it ranges, but what's kind of
Yeah,
a more typical range?
it really ranges. So it depends on what the client's coming for, right? Are they coming to, they don't know what's next in their career and they want to figure that out? Well, that's going to be shorter range of sessions than someone who's coming with, hey, I'm struggling with confidence and I'd like to shift it so I can be more confident, right? That is typically longer sessions. So if it's something deeply ingrained in them, i.e., this is something they've been struggling with for a long period of time, then typically that's going to be a longer set of sessions. Some clients who are very self aware, maybe they can shift in 3 months or even sooner. If it's someone who's new to this and new to increasing their self awareness, might be more like 6 months. And then I certainly have clients who, once they see the power of what this can, what coaching can do for them, they're like, ooh, I want more of that. Now I want to
Huh.
work on shifting this. So I also have clients who've been with me for years and they just keep on, okay, what's the next thing that I can do to better myself and improve myself? And then they're on to that.
Okay, great. And one thing you told me about is that one of your kind of areas of specialty, which is a little bit unusual, is helping people navigate kind of, you called it life-changing medical journey. So
Yes.
how did you get into that? What do you mean by that? And what does that look like?
Yeah. So, how I got into it is I've been through 7 life-changing medical issues myself. So, I know firsthand what an emotional roller coaster this journey can be. And it's like, okay, well, this has been a pattern in my life. It's time to now bring this forward and help others who are going down this path because I've certainly learned quite a bit going through the journey myself. So, as far as what it'll be, it's going to be helping adults struggling with a life changing medical issue. And they either want to lower the anxiety or anger they're feeling. And maybe that's about their body, maybe it's about a doctor or the medical system itself. And it's helping them lower it so they can be more calm, at peace, and resilient on their medical journey. Or maybe they want to better advocate and navigate for themselves in the healthcare system so they can get to the root cause of their medical issue and feel better sooner instead of doctors solving symptoms. Unfortunately, there are quite a few doctors out there that are focused on the latter instead of getting down to the root cause. And if you really want to find the healing modality that's going to help, it's starting with the root cause, right? You got to know what you're targeting. So it may be that, or it may be helping them improve how they're handling their family and friends' emotions around their health because there's people out there, they get the diagnosis and they won't share with family or friends because of the fear of how they're going to respond, or they know from past experience how they're going to respond. So it's helping them better navigate that.
Wow. Yeah. So it's very multifaceted from kind of learning
Yes.
about yourself to becoming an advocate for yourself and then handling all the family dynamics
Yeah,
that come out.
essentially being more resilient on the journey
Yeah.
because, for someone who's new to that journey, and if the resilience isn't there, it can definitely knock them backwards pretty hard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a very, very jarring experience to go through. Yep.
Yeah, it can be.
So, so you've been coaching for a while. It started internally, like more informally, maybe, and now more formally. How's your coaching approach changed over time?
Yeah. I'm much more likely to pause a client now if they're going deep into story because many times the story they're telling about a work or life event is partly what's keeping them stuck in a particular behavior pattern or skill they want to change. And sometimes the client's unconsciously using story to distract from the real issue at hand, or they're using that story to make themselves feel better about the issue. But either way, we're not addressing that root cause. So I'm much more likely to pause them now.
I like you have some nice terms, pause people, and opportunity for growth is your rewording of
Mhm.
challenge. So I see that.
Great job picking that up.
Yes, yeah, no, those are helpful reframes of concepts. So it's not just wordsmithing.
No, I mean, any challenge out there is a growth opportunity. It really is.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, that's resilience. Yep.
That's exactly it.
Okay. So in addition to coaching, you also do training.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about what areas you focus on and how has being a coach helped you as a trainer and where does it maybe get in the way?
Mm. So the areas I focus for training are energy leadership, that framework that I was talking about, emotional intelligence, resilience, change management. So I'm also a Six Sigma black belt and I work with lean as well. So I play in that space and process improvement. So those areas I speak to, Six Sigma, lean, um, leadership. Those are the a lot of the areas that I focus. Occasionally, I'll move into some other spaces too if the client requires it. So I've certainly done a tremendous amount of program and project management. So I have done some training in that space as well. And then ask the other pieces
Yeah,
again,
so
please.
part of project management is providing a lot of information, teaching people how to do things. As a coach, your job is to listen and pull it out of people. So how's coaching help you as a trainer? And is there places where it kind of gets in the way and is
Yeah.
confusing and different personal approach?
Yeah. So it doesn't get in the way of the training unless the audience wants me to give them the answer. Then maybe they might get a little like, oh, come on, just give me the answer. As far as how it's helped me as a trainer. So that's another area where my style has shifted a bit over time. So prior to becoming a coach, I was a management consultant and doing quite a bit of training for clients. And I was much more likely to provide recommendations or provide answers directly to the questions they were asking me in the training. And now that I've gone through becoming a certified coach and been practicing this for quite a while, now I will ask them those thought-provoking, powerful questions so they can come to the answer on their own because I've learned that answer is going to stick with them much more powerfully if it comes from themselves. So that's an area where it's definitely helped me in seeing, okay, this is a much more powerful technique.
Okay, so yeah, a coaching approach to training. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if it's like a, definitional question or it's a question around understanding the concept more fully, I'll directly answer it, right, as a trainer. But if it's a question around, well, what would you advise? What would you recommend? What do you think is the best, then I'll go into the coaching mode and help them come to the answer themselves.
Okay. And so you've changed careers, you shifted over the course of your career. What led you to choose coaching as where it seems like it's your predominant area right now?
Yeah, it is. So I was on my own journey of figuring out what was next. So when I was at the management consulting firm, after a couple years, I realized this is killing my love of travel. That, and I also realized my carbon footprint of traveling all the time. And I was like, oh, no, 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 I'm not going to be part of this. So I was figuring out what was next because when I joined the firm, the thought and intention was to either get into the C-suite of a corporation down the road or become a partner in the firm. And additionally to those things I just mentioned, I also saw what the partners' lives were like and what the C-suite's lives were like. And I went, ooh, no, thank you. The money's not worth it. So that was confusing to me because I was viewing that as the top of the pyramid at the time, and I was pretty young in my career. So if the top of the pyramid's not the goal, what is? So I use the tool I use with my clients now when they're trying to figure out what's next in their career. And I'd mapped out that information, and then I was working to figure out roles that fit that latest information. Because at the time I didn't know about coaching. So I had that. And then shortly after, I came across an open house with IPEC, which is the coach training program I went through. And what they were saying so deeply resonated with where I was looking to go next. I was like, oh, this is the next step. I just knew. And they were talking about, coaching is all about overcoming those blocks, internal blocks people have, so that they can then move forward to whatever it is they want to accomplish with their goals. And at the consulting firm, they were fantastic about here's best practices for anything you can think of in an organization, right? Operations, procurement, supply chain. And I watched us provide the recommendations to executives. And sometimes they'd take them and sometimes they didn't. And we'd always give the background information as to why that recommendation was there. But the firm wasn't teaching us how to overcome those internal blocks the executives had. And so I thought, oh, this is the piece that's been missing. How powerful to be able to combine the two. And I can be stationary without having to travel. And it was absolutely the path for me. So this has been the most rewarding work that I've done to date.
That's great. Yeah, it's always good to feel passion with your work and not exhaustion. So all
Absolutely.
that traveling can certainly get tiring.
It is. It takes it out of you traveling
Yeah,
physically. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So sounds like you've built a fairly successful business. What were some of the key steps you took to get to where you are now?
So I figured out who my target market was, right? Who my target clients were. I figured out where they were gathering and then put myself into those spaces, right? Started networking with them, started talking about what I offer, what I do, started building the relationships, right? This is a business where we're building relationships. And started putting myself out there. And the additional thing I did was part of getting myself out there was finding speaking opportunities. And it's interesting where those speaking opportunities can lead you. And what I mean about that, so I've done several speaking engagements for Harvard Ed Portal, and I was thinking, hey, some clients will come out from the audience. And what ended up happening, interestingly, was I had somebody contact me from another organization. They used to be in the Harvard, what do you call the envelope? Because there's several Harvard organizations under one envelope. They used to be in the Harvard envelope. They're now in another organization. They're like, hey, I saw you were presenting on this. I'm doing a retreat. Would you be interested in coming in and speaking to my group on one of these topics? So that's what I mean by you never know where it may lead.
Mm-hmm. All right, so put yourself out there, share your enthusiasm and your visions, and see what pops.
See what pops and see what people are struggling with, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's about, helping them and seeing where there's that win-win, right? Where you can offer services and where they could use the help.
Okay, great. So you've provided a lot of guidance in terms of both how to be an effective coach, how to be an effective trainer, and how to build your business. Is there any other advice you'd like to offer to people maybe who are starting out, either coaching or training, that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah. So seek out coaching communities or training communities if you're on the training side, and see what you can pick up and learn from the more experienced coaches and more experienced trainers. On the coach, I'm more familiar on the coaching side. So on the coaching side, ICF and the Coaches Cafe are both great coaching communities. And then attend webinars and courses of interest to further professionally develop yourself in the skills, whether it's the coaching or whether it's the training. And on the coaching side, right, we all have different niches. If you decide to niche, there are some coaches who focus more generally. So when I talk about courses of interest, right, typically it's going to be in that niche area. So that's what I mean by figure out what's of interest to you and then go and further educate yourself in it.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's one of the the pros and cons of working by yourself. Working by yourself has some advantages, but then it's isolating. And so I think
Yes.
reaching out to a community, building a community, and
Yes.
on the training side, which I'm more familiar with, the Association for Talent Development, ATD, used to
Yep.
be ASTD, for old timers, and they have local chapters around the country. So that's a good resource for trainers as well.
Excellent.
Right. So again, sounds like you've done some really great work. What's new and exciting? What's coming up in the future that you're excited about?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about what's exciting now, and then I'll talk about what's exciting coming up. So, a couple things that are exciting now. So, I'm in the middle of delivering my 7-week emotional intelligence course, back to the training side, although it has coaching in it. It has a lot of coaching questions in it. And the amount of aha moments, realizations, and new awarenesses this person is having is very exciting to see. So they're finding the materials so incredibly thought-provoking and incredibly helpful, which warms my heart because this is truly life-changing for them, which is what we're all about as coaches, right?
Yeah.
And trainers, a lot of times, right? We're training them to improve. And then the other exciting thing is I've got a change agent community call coming up on resilience in times of uncertainty. And I'm excited to be offering this given all the turmoil going on in our country at the moment. There's a lot of angst, understandably, people are feeling at the moment. And then as far as coming up, what I'm excited about, so in addition to the navigating your medical journey coaching niche that I'm going to be adding, there's 2 more coaching niches I'm going to be adding to the business.
Wow.
And one is the other side of that medical journey coin, and that is emotional intelligence and root cause coaching for medical practitioners. And this is going to be helping them level up their listening skills, empathy, root cause, and emotional intelligence. And that's so their patients feel completely seen, heard, and understood, resulting in the practitioner receiving a much better report card from their patients and being much more effective and sought after. And it's been interesting talking to some medical practitioners because they're not necessarily being taught root cause and how to find root cause, which is wow.
Yeah, well, especially when you talk to specialists,
Yes.
they've taught their own little piece of the body and the system, and
Yes.
yeah, that can
Yes.
be
And
very
we are
frustrating.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
As a human, I am not my arm. I am not my heart, right? Those are parts of me. I am a whole human being and it's all connected, including the mind is connected to the body. So absolutely.
That sounds like a great program and very, very much needed. Whether the medical practitioners know they need it, have the emotional
Exactly.
intelligence and awareness to see that, I
Ex-
think can be a challenge.
exactly. That's exactly it. You know, when I do talk about this with people, the patient side is like, "Yes, please." So that's very, very much a needed thing. And absolutely, the interesting part of the journey is going to be who are the medical practitioners who are self aware enough and open minded enough to recognize, hey, this is a way I could professionally develop myself. So, yeah. So that's one. And then the other niche I'm going to be adding is healing from abuse, trauma, and neglect. And this is going to be helping those survivors who are ready to heal, yet are struggling with anxiety still, lack of confidence, conflict, or resentment. And they want to accelerate their healing journey so the past stops impacting them in present day and they can move to a place of peace in their life and peace with their relationships and with their past.
Wow. Yeah, that's another really vitally needed program that the trauma that stays with people can be just so
Yes.
persistent. And,
Yes, absolutely. It
yeah,
has an imprint on people, that is for sure.
yeah. Well, thank you, Rosanne. Unfortunately, we're out of time. This has been really an interesting discussion. So that's it for today's episode of Lead, Learn, and Connect. A huge thank you to Rosanne Essiambre from Sustainable Solutions Coaching and Consulting for sharing such honest, practical, and inspiring insights. If you
You
found
are
this helpful, please be sure to subscribe, share it with a colleague, and leave a review. You can find out more about Rosanne's work and additional resources in the show notes. And if you're ready to deepen your leadership, enhance your communication, or learn more about my work and the team model of communication, head over to our website or follow us on LinkedIn or other social media. Until next time, keep leading with intention, keep learning, and keep connecting. Thanks for listening.